Welcome back to First Look, the show where we give you just a taste of an upcoming board game. Today we're talking about something that's coming soon to Kickstarter, and that is AracKahn Wars. This is a two-player competitive CCG style game where everything you need to play comes in one box. You can think of this game kind of as a combination between other games like Magic the Gathering, Smash Up, Summoner Wars, or games that have you taking on the role of various factions doing battle with each other. But this game features a lot of differences to those other games that makes it unique and makes it still stand out in today's market. So let's dive in really quick to this first look at AracKahn Wars. In this game, you're going to take on the role of one of 4 nations and play using that deck. You have the White Lands, which are a snowy, frozen land featuring a lot of winter magic and flying creatures, which will help you dominate the battlefield. You have Vesture, which is the green faction. This is going to feature a lot of poisonous kind of creatures, a lot of hunters, woodsmen, and creatures that are really good at moving around the battlefield. You're going to have Mirkur, which is the red faction, which represents fire. You're going to have giants, ogres, berserkers, and a lot of characters that can do a lot of damage mixed into that faction. And lastly, you have the Biotur, the Grey Order. They kind of represent a force of imposing will that's going to be your kind of almost westernized culture, your knights and castles and things like that. These 4 factions are all battling to have a future in this world. And you're going to be battling on this battle map. And this thing is huge. I think it's bigger than I am. So this battle map is going to feature the spaces to place your cards. So this map is going to bring in that tactical experience that you don't see in some kind of CCG games, but are present in games like Summoner Wars or Mage Wars, where you actually need to position your cards on the board and move them around in order to do damage, because you're only going to be able to attack things that are adjacent to you. So yes, there is combat in this game, and yes, each one of those decks is going to be made up of creatures and spells and lands. Lands are fortifications that are going to sit on the battlefield. Now, spells are just going to trigger one time and be used. Creatures are going to go into battle against each other and potentially destroy each other, taking them off the board. The fortifications or lands are actually going to stay on the battlefield. When one player takes control of a fortification, they actually gain that fortification to their side. They place one of their control markers on that card to indicate that they have control. Because the end game here is not to just deal damage to your opponent. You have no life totals in this game. You cannot be eliminated from the game early. The game is going to play over 9 rounds, and this is coincidentally the size of one of these decks. You're going to start the game by drawing 7 cards, and then each of the following 8 rounds, you're going to draw 2 of your remaining 16 cards. So this is another example of why this game is unique. You are going to play through your entire deck. You will see every single card in here. However, you might not see them early when you want them. You're going to have to make tactical decisions based on the draw. Of course, you can still mulligan and set up your perfect hand if you want, but you're going to have to make those decisions on a turn-to-turn basis. You are not going to be able to use the same strategy every game because the order of your cards is going to be different, and of course the opponent's strategies are going to be different. All of these decks have different focuses like I talked about: maneuverability, poisoning and combat damage, big giant creatures, lots of different fortifications. These strategies are going to be implemented throughout the course of that deck, but you're also going to have these expansion boxes. Inside each one of these boxes is an entire stack of cards that you're going to be able to use to deck build. This deck is filled with cards from each one of the different factions, so you'll be able to mix these cards in with your basic decks if you want to do a little customization. But this is not a CCG or really an LCG. You're not going to be chasing down box after box. There might be expansion content that comes out. I know that this is called the Season 1 box, and it has some story. There's a story card that comes with it. I'm assuming there will be Seasons 2, 3, etc., etc. But it's not that same experience as a CCG. You are going to get every card that comes with each season in each one of these season boxes. So you'll have a lot of different flexibility. The door is also open for them to introduce new factions and things down the line. But there's one thing I wanted to focus on here before I go that I think is really cool about this game, and that is the astral plane. You can actually play cards to the astral plane and trigger these cards' abilities to affect the battlefield. So there's just a lot of difference here, I think, between these other LCG and CCG games. If you're a fan of tactical card games like Mage Wars, like Summoner Wars, there is a lot to like here. I think you're really going to enjoy this one, but it is coming out later this year, but it is on Kickstarter. So take a look at that Kickstarter page. Take a look at all the different faction cards. You'll see more than what I even showed you here in this video. And as always, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, following us here at MVM, and I will see you next time.
Now, before you go, there's one more thing I want to talk about. I hate to bring this up, but YouTube analytics tells us to do this. So please click on the subscription button, ring the bell, watch our next video, rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that over and over and over and over.